Hello everyone and welcome to the Pokebattler website. My name is Famous from FLW Videos, and in today's episode we're going to be focusing on the Pokemon Kyurem and of course the top counters versus this Pokemon, diving into a top 10 of some sorts because we do have some Shadow Pokemon as well as some Legendaries, non-Legendaries. We want to be more inclusive in our counters, so that's why we have extended it out to 10. So in at the number 1 position we have Shadow Metagross. If you were lucky and fortunate enough to get yourself a Shadow Metagross, of course, power it up. It's going to be a monster of a Pokemon. Of course, dependent upon that moveset of Bullet Punch and Meteor Mash, if you were to go ahead and drop that down, you are getting a major drop in performance. So, of course, it is Meteor Mash dependent. Very difficult to obtain unless you did it during the Team Rocket event day. But check this out. Totally worth it. We've got 5 stars across the board. And if we go ahead and check out the rankings, it's just straight up taking the number 1 spot on literally everything for level 40. So that is just insane to see that. As far as the defenses are concerned, I would say this is definitely helping. The fact that it's able to build up some resistances versus all of the moves being loaded in there, that's insane. Icy Wind taken out. Unfortunately, a lot of people I know are a little bit disappointed about that. But anyways, if we go ahead and take a look at the players needed, I mean, you're approaching nearly 1 person. Of course, extremely difficult to do, but duos are going to be very easy to do if you've got yourself this Shadow Metagross. But speaking of that, if we go ahead and move on to the second position, we're actually going to slide over to Lucario. So Lucario, in my opinion, is going to be great to put up at the front of the class. Like, put it in at that number 1 position before charge moves can get off. You want to go with Counter and then Aura Sphere. As far as the ratings are concerned, it's a little bit all over the place. The damage is high, the consistency is high, but unfortunately the bulk is not. As far as the other moves are concerned, you can technically go with Bullet Punch because that's still going to be super effective, and you're really not going to get that much of a drop in performance. So if you're kind of tight on those fast TMs, that is a way to be able to save one. As far as his rankings level 40 are concerned, it's a little bit all over the place, but still pretty tight. So I'm thinking that Lucario's looking good overall. And then when we take a look at the defenses, once again, we are seeing that this Pokemon is able to resist all 3 of the charge moves for Kyurem, hence why it is going to show up to be so well. Once again, able to do it with 2 trainers fairly easy, but not going to be able to do a solo. So unfortunate for that. Anyways, we get into the number 3 position, we've got the regular form of Metagross, something that I'm personally going to use, and in reality, the main difference, of course, is going to be that it doesn't do quite as much damage because it doesn't get that shadow bonus damage done, unfortunately, but still getting a 5-star on bulk, and then of course the consistency. But like we had with the Shadow Pokemon, big drop off in performance of the different moveset, and then it's basically just kind of being beat by itself if you think about it. You've got the Shadow version of Metagross, and then you've got Metagross. They're very tight in performance. Of course, the Shadow would be preferable, but it's also extremely rare. I mean, there's a lot going on to be able to use that Shadow Pokemon. But I would say that Metagross is looking good. If you've got one, you're going to be able to blow through this no problem. You got a couple of them, hey, go out there and try some duos if you've got some of them powered up. And of course, resistances will remain the same. We'll go ahead and move on to the 4th position. We've got our second Shadow Pokemon, known as Shadow Dragonite. So Shadow Dragonite, able to just put out a lot of damage despite it being weak to the Dragon typing. Hence why you're going to see some just crazy results with the bulk and then of course the consistency. Because basically, if it's going up against those Ice-type moves, actually, it's just going to be a nightmare. It's the Dragon moves that aren't double super effective against it. So just crazy stuff going on with this Shadow Dragonite. Seeing similar performance out of all these movesets, so you can definitely save some TMs if you plan on using it. But if you check out those defenses, I mean, this is such a tough one. This is one that you just put up front, you use it, you get it out real quick, and then you're done with it. But if you've got yourself a Shadow Dragonite, then kudos to you. We go to move on to the next Pokemon. In the number 5 spot, we've got a Shadow Tyranitar. So Shadow Tyranitar is going to be using Smackdown Stone Edge. So Smackdown going to be a Community Day exclusive move, but because it is a quick move, you can use an Elite TM to get over to this. As far as the performance is concerned, looking good on consistency, but bulk, not so much. That's just a little bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. We got a major drop-off in performance on the moveset, so you definitely want to go with the ideal moveset. And then as far as everything is concerned with the rankings, in reality, it's just going to faint a lot. It's just a glass cannon, but it could be a lot of fun to use if you have one. Then as far as the defenses are concerned, they're at least neutral situations. I mean, that's better than some of the Dragon types that we saw earlier, like with Dragonite, where it ends up being weak to everything. So Shadow Tyranitar could be fun. Anyways, if we go ahead and move into the 6th position, we've got Shadow Gardevoir. So a lot of Shadow type Pokemon on this list. You want to go with Charm. You want to go with Dazzling Gleam if you can. We've got 3-star on the damage, not too great, 3-star on the consistency, and then a 1-star on the bulk. Yeah, not looking good for Shadow Gardevoir. Major drop off in performance on the moveset. And then finally, we've got just a lot of feints going on with this Pokemon. So once again, Glass Cannon, if you've got any of these Shadow Pokemon, then by all means go for it. But especially if you can go up against those Dragon-type moves. If you can go up against a Kyurem with Dragon-type moves, that's where Shiny, or the Shadow Gardevoir can end up kind of shining. We go ahead and move on to the 7th position. We've got a more fairly normal Pokemon, Conkeldurr. So Conkeldurr going to be hitting with that counter and dynamic punch, one of the best fighting type Pokemon in this game. We end up seeing Lucario, of course, ahead of it. A little bit of a drop off on the performance, so definitely not going to recommend going Focus Blast. Go ahead and get yourself dynamic punch. We got a 3-star on the damage, 1-star on the bulk, and then a 3-star on the consistency. Anyways, if we go ahead and check it out, we've got a little bit of feint, so a little bit more on the glassy side, but Conkeldurr should be a lot of fun to use, and we've got a lot of neutral situations. So if you're looking for kind of a middle-of-the-road Pokemon, happen to have one, by all means, go for Conkeldurr. You are not going to regret it. And at the number 8 position, we've got the Shadow Salamence. So many Shadow Pokemon showing up in this case. We've got a 3-star on the damage here, and then it gets a little bit worse when you take a look down at this, but man, if you've got some of these, you are going to be able to destroy. So once again, we got that Community Day exclusive move, but you could go with Draco Meteor and get just a slight drop in performance, but nothing to really matter. But once again, super glassy, and the fact that it's pretty much just being super effective against like everything, it's not going to be ideal to end up using that Shadow Salamence in this case. We'll go ahead and move into the 9th position. We've got Dialga, a little bit more of a normal Pokemon, legendary of course, but compared to those Shadows, I think it's a little bit more feasible to use this. We got a 3-star on the damage, 2-star on the bulk, but a 5-star on the consistency. So a little bit more consistent than some of those other Pokemon. You go with Metal Claw, Draco Meteor, or you can go with the Dragon Breath and Draco Meteor. You're not going to get a drop in performance. So as far as different moves are concerned, looking good for Dialga. Anyways, we go ahead and take a look at the different estimators. Looking good on that front as well. A little bit on the low side, but at the same time, though, you're not going to have to deal with any super effective damage. All neutral situations. So if you happen to have a Dialga powered up for PvP, for example, this could end up being a really good way to find a use in the raid side. Then finally, in at the number 10 position, the most recently released Pokemon, Zekrom. So Zekrom, it's going to do best with Dragon Breath and Outrage, but once again, you got to really look out for this Pokemon, mostly for the fact that you've got a lot of Ice-type moves, Dragon-type moves when you're going up against this Kyurem, so you really have to be careful of that. We have a major drop-off in performance of the alternative movesets, and then once again, it's just going to go down just because you've got all of these issues. At least in some cases, you don't have a 2x weakness to anything in this case, just because it's not like flying type, for example. So Zekrom can be a little bit risky. So overall, when we take a look at this, just watch out for those different dragon type Pokemon. Just kind of go with caution because Zekrom is just destined to be able to take down those dragon types. But anyways, if you want to check out some more alternative options, make sure to head over to Pokebattler, scroll down so you can check them out.